You wake up every morning and pay a tax you never agreed to. You pay it when you buy food, when you save money, when you work. It's invisible, silent, and unavoidable. It doesn't appear on your paycheck. It doesn't show up on your bank statement. But it's there, every second, quietly stealing your future. It's called inflation. But that's not what it really is. Inflation is just the polite name for monetary decay, the slow erosion of your life's energy, disguised as economic growth. You were told inflation is normal, that 2 or 3% a year is healthy for the economy. But think about what that really means. A 3% inflation rate means your money loses half its value every 24 years. Half of everything you've ever earned, gone. And you're told to be thankful for it. Because it keeps the economy moving. That's like thanking the fire for keeping you warm while it burns your house down slowly enough that you don't notice. Inflation is not an accident, it's a mechanism. It's the perfect system of silent theft, a machine that transfers wealth from those who work to those who print. When governments print money, they create value from nothing. But new money doesn't create new wealth, it just dilutes the old. It's like pouring water into wine. The glass looks fuller, but the taste gets weaker. You don't feel it immediately. But one day you wake up and realize your paycheck buys less, your rent costs more, and your savings are evaporating in slow motion. Here's the secret no one in power will ever tell you. Inflation is the tax of obedience. It only works on people who keep their money still. If your wealth sleeps in the bank, it bleeds in silence. Because the longer you trust the system to preserve your money, the less it's worth. The game rewards movement, not safety. And the system knows that most people will stay still because fear feels safer than freedom. You see, every printed dollar steals value from every saved dollar. It's not just economics, it's a moral transaction. When you save, you're trading your time today for security tomorrow. Inflation breaks that contract, it punishes discipline, it rewards debt. That's why governments love it, because debtors thrive when money dies. And the biggest debtor in the world is the government itself. They'll tell you inflation is complicated. It's not. It's the deliberate choice to make citizens pay for the state's mistakes without ever sending them a bill. When money loses value, tax revenues go up automatically. You earn more, but what you earn buys less. They take more, and you thank them for economic growth? That's not policy, that's genius-level deception. If you're beginning to see how deep this runs, follow rich logic now. Because understanding this single concept will change how you see the entire world economy. Inflation isn't just about money, it's about power. Because whoever controls the money supply controls the pace of your life. Think about it. When inflation rises, you work longer hours just to stand still. You stop dreaming of freedom, you start hoping for survival. You don't question the system, you beg it for relief. That's not economics, that's psychological warfare. The first rule of control is to keep slaves unaware that they're enslaved. And inflation does exactly that. It doesn't take your property, it takes your purchasing power. It doesn't chain your body, it chains your time. You work harder each year for the same lifestyle, and because everyone around you is doing the same, it feels normal. That's how control becomes culture. They call it the cost of living. But really, it's the price of staying asleep. The rich know this, that's why they don't save money. They store value. They buy assets that rise when currencies fall. They hold stocks, real estate, gold, businesses, anything that multiplies when money decays. The poor save cash. The middle class saves paper promises. The rich save systems. You might think inflation punishes everyone equally. It doesn't. It's designed like a funnel. Value flows upward. Those closest to the source of new money, governments, corporations, banks, spend it first, before prices rise. They buy assets, land, influence. By the time that new money reaches the population, prices have already adjusted. You receive the diluted version. Same numbers, less power. It's called the Cantillon effect. And it's the invisible engine of inequality. Inflation doesn't just destroy savings, it destroys trust. Because when money becomes unreliable, so does meaning. The value of work collapses. The purpose of saving disappears. And society starts to rot from within. When you can't trust the future value of your labor, you stop planning for it. That's when cultures start chasing pleasure instead of purpose. That's when generations become consumers instead of builders. And that's exactly what the system wants, a population too distracted to notice they're being drained. It's not about inflation numbers, it's about attention. Every hour you spend worrying about prices is an hour you're not watching who's setting them. Every time inflation rises, you tighten your budget, they tighten their control. Because a population in financial anxiety is a population too tired to resist. Inflation is the quietest revolution in history, a bloodless way to reset society without firing a single bullet. Empires used to collapse through war, now they collapse through currency, and when they do, those who hold real value, assets, resources, skills, become the new aristocracy. That's why billionaires don't panic during inflation. They pivot. They know money isn't disappearing, it's moving, flowing from holders to creators, from savers to investors, from the obedient to the observant. Inflation is a storm that drowns the unprepared and lifts the ones who built higher ground. If this message is connecting with you, like this video and subscribe to Rich Logic, because once you see how inflation really works, you'll stop fearing it and start using it. Now here's the question few dare to ask. If inflation steals from the poor and rewards the rich, why don't people revolt? Because the system built an antidote: hope. Every generation is promised that things will get better, that technology will fix the inequality, that opportunity still exists if you work hard enough. And that belief keeps the machine alive. You don't rebel against a future you still think you can win. But the game isn't about progress anymore. It's about preservation. Preservation of hierarchy, preservation of debt, preservation of illusions. Inflation is the software update that keeps the hierarchy running. It erases the evidence of past mistakes by devaluing the ledger itself. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. Governments say they fight inflation. They don't. They manage it. Like a zookeeper manages predators, never letting them escape, never letting them die. A little inflation keeps citizens working. Too much, and they riot. Too little, and they save. So they aim for the perfect middle, the sweet spot of permanent dependency. And yet, there's a paradox. Inflation also reveals what's real. When paper money burns, true value survives. Land, skills, relationships, creativity. Inflation exposes illusions. It tells you what was fake all along. It shows you which values hold, and which ones were numbers printed by belief. That's why the wise don't just protect wealth, they protect meaning. Because once you know what's real, you're free, even inside a system designed to make you broke. The hidden tax you pay every day isn't money. It's trust. You trust your government to preserve value. You trust your currency to mean the same tomorrow. You trust that effort equals reward. And when those things decay, civilizations collapse from within. The empire doesn't die from invasion. It dies from invisible erosion. Inflation is the story of empires pretending to be immortal. They all fall the same way, by printing more promises than they can keep. Rome debased its silver. France inflated its assignats. We print digital hope. Every empire eventually learns the same lesson. You can't fake value forever. So the next time someone tells you inflation is a sign of growth, remember, growth for who? Because every percentage point of inflation isn't just numbers on a chart. It's hours of your life quietly deleted from your future. Money dies slowly, but awareness is instant. And the moment you see inflation for what it is, a hidden tax on the unaware, you step outside its reach. You stop playing the game of holding. You start playing the game of flow. And that's where freedom begins. Not in wealth, but in understanding. You can't stop the system from printing, but you can stop it from owning you. Because the real inflation isn't in the currency, it's in the illusion. And the moment you wake up from it, you stop paying the hidden tax.